the 9th episode of From Local to Global. You guys, we are so close to the end, and thank you so much for sticking with me as we go through this process. I'm really just trying to give you guys in a really quick nutshell, like all the steps that you need to do in order to bring a product into the market. So I know there's so many more tasks and a lot of other things that I didn't cover. But with these 10 episodes that I produce and with the other 10 from my extended community, I really and truly hope that you guys are able to learn something and be inspired to produce your next product. So, as I always do, I have to thank my key sponsors. They literally have been the heartbeat of this project, and I'm so happy and thankful to have them on this journey with me. Of course, starting with the Port of Tacoma. You know how instrumental they have been with supporting the community here in Tacoma, and I seriously thank them. The William Factory Incubator helping small businesses such as myself go from an idea to an actual profitable organization. And last but not least, Traction Space. Traction Space has definitely elevated my company, and I'm looking forward to what we do together in the new year. So I'm going to dive right in. This is a very important topic, and I want to give you guys as much information as I possibly can. Suna. This is going to be, I believe, your best friend, especially for those of you who are just starting off and you might not necessarily have the budget nor the resources to produce a full-on product photo shoot. And I definitely suggest that you check out their website. I have used them before in the past and I absolutely love them. I think sometimes just having like very clean and detail oriented photos for your product is a great way to not only sell the product clearly, but to get the consumer to really connect with it. What I love about this website is that they have very reasonable prices, right? So if you're like me, for the proof of concept, I did like one photo shoot, and that went very well actually. Like, I was pleased with it. But with the upcoming collection, I am going to do a 2-part photo shoot. And so for some of my previous companies, I've used this company as well, just because it's a great way to do a virtual photo shoot. Especially if you're really busy, you might not necessarily need to attend every single shoot, especially the ones that are just the products. So if you can see, they outline how to utilize their services. It's very, very easy. I have done in the past the virtual shoot where I literally just sent it to their studio. They shot it and returned to me. You do have to attend the tapings or the photo shoot live virtually, but it's not so much of a big it's not a big deal. It's actually like a really fun and cool experience. They have an amazing staff that kind of gives you their insight of what photos look good. And then additionally, you can also have a stylist present, especially if you work in the apparel market. I just feel like this was a really great tool because the photo shoot with the models is already a pretty significant line in your budget, depending on where you're located and how many people you have on set that day. It can be a pretty expensive endeavor. On top of, if you already have to book a studio, let's say for like 4 or 5 hours just to get the model shots, you don't want to be in the studio for a full 8 hours doing model shots and also doing product shots. So this is a great way and a great tool that you can use just to kind of be at 2 places at once and really sort of meet those tight deadlines that you might have about producing content. So the thing about entering into an international market, you want images that really speak 1,000 words without having to do too much. Of course, you want to be creative and make sure that everything is in tip-top shape. But what I love about this company, again, it's just having myself in 2 places at once. And they offer a variety of services. We can check that out right here. Okay, so getting into their services, of course, they have a variety once you play with the site, you can kind of figure out which services best suit your needs. But I do highly recommend this company, especially if you don't have any experience with product photography, because you want to be able to also create content with your product images. And sometimes it can just save you a lot of headache and a lot of time on the back end if you get them professionally done. That way you're able to manipulate them in whatever content you need to create. So kind of showing you guys like some of their additional add-ons. Put their link in the description box. I do highly recommend that you guys check them out and see how you can utilize their services. You know, I love to give you guys not just my insight, but also the tools on how to get there. Sometimes I feel like it can be a tad bit pointless to just sort of like outline how to do it and then not give someone the tools in order to be successful. I've had great success with this company, and I hope that you guys find some too. Number 2 that I want to discuss that is extremely important is managing your inventory and having an efficient inventory managing system. So for those of you out there that did not get your Shopify accounts yet, again, I do urge you to do so, because they just have amazing feature in terms of making sure that your inventory is always updated in real time. What you don't want to happen is for a consumer to place an order, and then when you go to fulfill that order, it's no longer there, right? Like you didn't do something correct, so now you have to refund this consumer because you did not efficiently manage your inventory. With Shopify, they have a built-in inventory system. They also have an app too, which I find very helpful, just to kind of like keep track for myself, like when I'm like wondering, okay, how much money did I make today, or how many how many orders still need to go out. I definitely love Shopify for that feature. When you are entering in 2 different markets, you have to know that, or 2 different countries, is that like most stores don't ever really sleep anyway. But when you're operating in 2 countries, like if one country is like primarily sleep, the other one is like wide awake. So one of the pros about operating launching in dual countries, I would say, is that you're always going to have traction on the site. It's going to be very rare where you have just like 0 traction on the site, or not even 0, like that never happens. But I mean like low traction. Like once you launch, that's not going to happen because you launched in 2 different markets. So again, when one country is primarily sleep, the other country is up and active and placing orders. So you want to make sure that you have your inventory system in place and ready to go when you launch. In addition to Shopify's feature of inventory management, I still suggest that you create your own inventory management system. I use my Google Drives doc in order to keep sort of like that manual account of all of my products. So I typically would do inventory about like once a month, just to make sure that all the numbers are aligned. And again, like I have a pretty good team and I've developed a really good process, so I'm able to do that on a regular basis. And I suggest that you develop some systems so you can do that too, and you're not like losing money because you didn't adequately keep track of your product. Okay, and number 3 is definitely going to be just website updates. Since we're speaking about Shopify, we might as well go ahead and continue to do so. You want to make sure that when you launch that all the passwords are removed from your website, that all the verbiage is correct, and that everything on your site is very much so on brand. What you don't want to happen is you release your marketing campaign and all your different platforms and people cannot access your site. With this particular step, I do suggest you doing a full customer run. So that's basically placing the order as yourself on your own company, on your own website, and checking out that entire process, ensuring that all the notifications are formatted correctly, that they come at the appropriate time. Make sure that you have like that good scale and printer that you need to produce the orders. Basically, just go through that entire process, and whatever hiccups you come across, make sure that you correct them and correct them now. You don't want to be into the thick of your rollout and then to have some significant issue with your website where you either have to close part of it down or maybe take a product offline just so you can like correct another feature on your website. So I highly suggest that. Shopify, in your Shopify Pay account, does offer a test feature, which is cool, but I'm a firm believer of like, take me through the entire process. So literally bring your store live, even if it's just for a bit, place your order, go through the entire process, and then you can put the password back on your site. But at least go through it yourself. That way you can see any hiccups, right? Because at this point, you're only foreseeing hiccups. But when you go through the actual process, you're going to have corrections you need to fix in real time. And to me, I'm a firm believer, like I want to fix those things before the consumer sees them. So that is step number 3. And last and totally not least, it is your campaign and social media calendar. So of course you're going to have your natural marketing and social media strategy. But what I'm showing you guys right now is basically sort of like the template of the social media calendar that I use. So I'm not going to show you guys my exact strategy because again, I'm not going to give away all my goodies, but I at least want you guys to see how I write everything out and how I plan for all of my content like a month or so in advance. So one of the things I really want to point out about this particular sheet is like this year with the proof of concept, when I initially did my launch, I did sort of like the traditional Facebook and Instagram ads. Facebook, not so much, but like Instagram ads. And then I just tried to post consistently in content that matters for the remaining of the launch. And the launch went very well. I was able to produce like really engaging lookbook images. So that definitely helped push my campaign along and of course drive sales. But throughout the course of Edit Code, I really stuck to this template. And as you guys can see towards the bottom, I have like the months dated out with each tab. And what I'm showing you guys now is just basically, like I said before, the template. But if you can see, I really took the time to outline every single platform and what I wanted to do and what type of engagement I wanted to create. So since Edit Code was like a proof of concept, there were certain platforms that I wasn't necessarily like super focused on. Like I might have planned it out, but really didn't like execute it once the data kind of showed me that there was no point. One of those being Twitter. Initially I had kind of like a Twitter strategy, but I just don't necessarily like the vibe on Twitter. So I kind of took Twitter out of my campaign strategy. And additionally with Facebook, I don't get much revenue from Facebook. And since the update with Apple, that whole thing, Facebook ads don't really convert the way that they used to. Neither does Instagram ads, to be honest with you guys. But for your launch, I do suggest doing at least an Instagram ad. If you've ever done TikTok ads, please drop it in the comments and let me know how it went, because I haven't done that, but it's definitely something on the strategy for next year. Additionally, I want to point out that I probably will do another video just outlining more intensely how to efficiently create content for different countries. Because again, you don't want to be offensive and you want to respect not only your creative direction, but just other people's sensitivities. So I'll probably create that video a little later in time. But for you guys that are on a budget, and I mean a budget, please check out Pinterest. This particular run, I made a significant amount of money from Pinterest, and it's super easy to use. I didn't necessarily think it was going to be sort of like the star of my social media campaigns, but it definitely was. I was also fortunate enough to receive some Pinterest credits If I receive those again, I'll definitely do a video or like let you guys know via Instagram where to get those credits, but they really helped propel the engagement that I saw not only on Pinterest but also on my website. So that's a little trick that I would definitely suggest to you guys, is make sure that you're using Pinterest even if you aren't in the fashion space. It's definitely a game changer. And what I found out is that I was getting traction from all over the world. Therefore, I was getting sales from all over the world, even countries that I didn't market to. But because I use Pinterest, and Pinterest has like this radical way of just like connecting with so many people, I was able to maximize my Pinterest exposure, and then of course, you know, receive some revenue for it. So it was definitely a game changer. So before I wrap up, you guys, there are two things that I forgot to mention when you are doing your website updates. One, that's to make sure that your website has a currency converter. Again, this is all about going from local to global. So you want to make sure that you are able to have that converter so individuals in other countries can see exactly how much it's going to cost them. Second, you should have a translation feature on your website, or make it sort of like so that way it is translated easily if someone else is using the translator. And Shopify does a really good job with that, in terms of it's sort of like built into a lot of their templates, especially their paid templates. So it's definitely a feature that you want to have, because again, you want to reach a global audience. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Please make sure to support my sponsors.